living the dream. I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah.
Hello, everybody, live from the illustrious site of a trouncing that took place on Sunday night, SoFi Stadium in the City of Champions, Inglewood. How you feeling?
Great. Got it. That Rams dub. You know I'm down with that.
Rams dub for the O-ZONE. They told us they did it just for us. Matthew Stafford went deep for us. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somewhat.
They came out blazing.
Little over the top.
Yeah, immediately.
Over the TZ.
Man. What is it with you and TZ?
I
don't
love
get it.
TZ. It stands for
that.
Terry.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Well, either way it goes, we got a good show for you today. We're going to be dealing with the NFL and my sour feelings towards a particular quarterback who cost me my fantasy game. We're going to be dealing with boxing because there's a lot of action going on, and unfortunately, there's a lot of action going on, which was...
You threw the deal in there.
Yeah.
We're going to be dealing with the deal.
Yeah, we need to deal with senior citizen fighting is what we need to deal with.
Elder
Senior
abuse.
citizens shouldn't be fighting. It's elder abuse. I don't care if they're fighting other senior citizens or not. What are we doing? What are we doing, America? Come on. But I want to start in New York, actually. I want to start at the U.S. Open. What a hell of a tournament this U.S. Open was.
Yeah, and it started out on a bad note with the storms and everything, but it really kicked in.
And then it was a trip because it seemed like the storm never happened. Like they just continued, right? Even though that it leaked through the ceiling and everything. But the next day was a beautiful day, and the rest of the tournament, they said they had 600 and something thousand people attended the tournament after not having any fans last year, and they brought life to the stadium.
Literal.
Yeah.
Literal life. I mean, the thing was...
And who else brought life was the youth.
Yes.
I feel like this is the clearest cut case we have of the changing of the guard in tennis. Than
like a changing of the guard.
I really do.
Really?
I really do. You had a large contingent of the men's, the ATP players who just didn't play due to injury or whatever.
Right.
You have the old guard of Federer, Nadal, and the top dog for the past couple of years is Novak Djokovic, and he gave it his all to win the calendar slam.
Right.
First time since 1952. It was an option. It was unbelievable that he was even in a position to do it. But eventually, Father Time caught up to him, in my opinion.
You think it was Father Time?
I do.
As
much as I love Novak.
Yeah, I just think that it was a situation where Medvedev had gotten used to his style of play. The way that he came out and dominated, it wasn't just like a...
Well, see, but this is why I say it's Father Time.
Yeah.
It's
now, Father Time usually...
Now, you can get Father Time.
Just not with me. Yeah. It deceives you. Because you think that, you still have it and you're moving slow. You think that you're moving fast, but you're moving slow.
Well, Novak's still moving fast.
Yeah, and he's still moving fast.
And he's still the best player in the world.
And he still looked good. Yeah, he still looked good.
Yes.
Most of the time, the older guys, you think that you have it and you don't.
I feel like you're thinking of more of a boxing or a baseball.
Maybe so.
In tennis, the age doesn't show itself in that way.
How does it show it?
Because... usually the
straight
tennis
sets.
Players, it shows in straight sets. Sometimes a bagel gets involved. We got a New York
Cream
bagel.
cheese.
The lox and bagels are involved. It's a kosher dish. What can we do? But no, this go around, I think what happened was Novak kept dropping that first set throughout the tournament. And I actually thought it became a strategy. I thought he would drop the first set in the vein of trying to see what the opponent had once he got past a certain amount, and then he just dominated the next three sets. But by the time he got to the final, he had been on court for 5 extra hours than Danny Medvedev. And that's a big deal. 5 extra hours is 2 matches.
But is that like a part of the draw? Or,
or you got a tough road.
Or do you think that was a part of that 53, ball rally that he had?
This is the point of what I'm saying. So when he played Zverev, they went 5 sets. Zverev took him to the limit. I think they went 5. And I think Zverev took 2 sets off of him. And that took a lot out of him. 53 ball rallies, 33 ball rallies. Like this stuff takes a lot out of your legs. And Novak's game, the thing I love about Novak Djokovic, I went on live television on the tennis channel and I said it 3 years ago. I think Novak Djokovic is going to go down as the greatest tennis player that's ever played because he dominated in the Nadal Federer era.
Right.
His record against both of them is highly impressive as opposed to the rest of their records against each other. The other thing is he can win on any surface. And the thing beyond that is what we watch is Novak Djokovic applies so much pressure mentally to the opposition. grinds you out.
Yes, it's like a game to him. He figures you out slowly but surely. He doesn't know your approach, and then slowly but surely during the match, he starts figuring out your approach.
And it's not even slowly but surely. It's after the first set. That's the thing. He needs about 6 games to figure it out. And then he has the mind that's like, oh, okay, this is how I beat you.
Right.
And it might just be a stamina thing. He can keep going. And he can rally with you forever. And Novak is saying, hey, I bet you that you'll make a mistake before I do. And the thing that we saw that Medvedev was able to do was Medvedev beat him and Novak helped him. In comparison to usually with the Joker, he's saying, I'll never beat myself. I got the wild card. Bing! And it's right on his head. But this time, you never saw the spark. You actually even saw some nerves because he was trying not to address the idea of the calendar slam and everything. He already lost to Zverev in the Olympics, which was a big deal. And he was trying to not address it until he won the semifinal and he was playing for it. And he said something that put me on guard afterwards. And he was like, I'm going to play this like this is the last match of my career. It was like, wow, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Lights out.
And so he went out there with the pressure to perform, and it just never came together. You saw Medvedev outlast him on points.
Right.
And there was one point that was a super key turning point of the whole the whole tournament, which somebody has to get fired for. There's got to be some accountability. Novak finally got to the point where he could break Medvedev. Medvedev's serve was incredible. Anybody who watched it saw it throughout the tournament, but especially in the final. Novak finally got in a situation in the second set where he could break him. And that's all he needs is a crack. Novak gets his foot in the door, that's it. It's over. Got that situation, and somebody turns the music on the loudspeakers of the stadium. And they had to replay the point. And he had gotten Medvedev to get a super soft serve, and he was in the process of potentially winning that point, which could turn the beat around, which is when Novak, after he lost that game, smashed his racket up and the whole song and dance.
Yeah, but this what gives me the boo-boo face about tennis and golf. Why is it that they can't have any noise while they're playing? That makes no sense. Every other sport, they literally could have noise, people yelling at them, calling them names, even sick stuff.
Yeah.
And they still perform.
COVID!
Right.
Hey, man! Cancer!
19! Hut!
It was right on my back. No, right. But they do. They say sick. They can be heckled. There's racial slurs, and you still have to focus.
And for some reason, in tennis and in golf,
you had that experience in college.
I had the experience, and for some reason, when they start doing that, tennis players and golfers fall apart. Hey, man, make the adjustment. Everywhere you go, even if you sit in traffic, somebody's gonna say something to you. Well, I can't drive now because somebody.
I can't drive. Somebody.
As soon as I leave here, somebody's gonna get upset and then chew me and rip me a new one.
The problem with that is, and I agree.
What? What's the problem?
I agree with that.
You can
Why
agree.
do you have to be quiet for these sports? And we're in a stadium where there was 75,000 people going nuts, and Matthew Stafford went over the top, but no problem.
Right.
The problem with this is because it's already custom. It randomly turned on. This isn't like the general.
Was
rule.
It random?
I don't know.
We're in the era of conspiracies, John.
We are. They're gonna steal this election, man. They're gonna steal it from Novak. Yeah, but honestly, I don't know what happened because it wasn't like it was a situation where he could make an adjustment and continue to play.
Right.
That wasn't the situation.
Right.
What ended up happening was he had to then in turn
refocus.
They had to replay the point.
Yeah, you have to replay the point, but you have to refocus.
And what happened was Medvedev had a let on the play before. Mm-hmm. And that let seems like he didn't know it was a let. So he had the option to go with another big serve for the first serve. But he came with a soft serve, which Novak
number
can handle.
2.
Then when it came back again, he went back to the big serve and he won the point. And that just seemed to set Novak off. He breaks the smashing pumpkins on the racket and the whole song and dance. Stadium goes nuts for Novak, which leads me to the point of what I want to talk about. What we like to do on the O-Zone, it's not talking about the after effects of the sport and the results and blah, 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 because everybody's doing that. Everybody talks about that. I want to talk about what this does deeper and what it's about in the societal sense. Because Novak was cheered when he broke his racket. They cheered for Novak on match point. It was triple match point, and the crowd wouldn't be quiet to let Medvedev focus.
Quiet, please.
They wouldn't. They just kept going. And eventually Medvedev double faulted like 2 or 3 times. Like, whatever, man. And then just beat him the next game. 2 games after. What was interesting about that was, because he had such a big lead, what was interesting to me about that is Joker smiled and he was having a good time despite getting destroyed at the end of the match. Joker also in the post-match was crying and he was like, man, it was just a lot. It was just, he spoke about the situation. Andy Roddick had posted something during the tournament where he was watching the matches and he tweeted something out where he said, Joker takes your legs, then he takes your soul. And afterwards you could see Novak was really like, way pushed back on that. He was like, nah. I try to take your legs, but everyone has their own soul. I'm not taking anyone's soul. We're all beautiful souls. He went real esoteric and Buddhist with it. Novak Djokovic comes off like a pleaser. We met him. We hung out with him on a tour for a little bit, and he was great. He was a really nice guy.
Really nice.
Like, extraordinarily nice for the status of superstar that he is. Mm-hmm. Now, I thought you had something on your lip, John. I'm going, yeah. I want to get you on camera. Now
you get me on camera.
Don't let Terry be on camera with nothing on this dude. So, so to go back to that, right? So, usually, because of Novak Djokovic's dominance against Nadal and Federer, people are rooting against him. How many times have we been at tournaments where the crowd is against Novak because he's beating Nadal or because he's beating Federer? He's always the guy that people are rooting against because he's so good.
Yeah, but
even players on the tour root against him. I remember when Kyrgios said, "Oh, please, anybody but Djokovic. Whoever wins, just don't let Novak win. Can't stand that guy."
But now the guys that you're talking about that wasn't there is the difference, because these are new jacks that are coming up. These new jacks aren't.
Just proving my point. The changing of the guard.
I don't believe that's a changing of the guard. I just think it's a new jack that's coming up, and they're not respecting them as if playing against really a legend. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know that, because this is the thing about Novak Djokovic is that at 34, he's still, as far as tennis went when we were young, he was ancient. 34 was over at 34. But this new age, you're pushing Father Time back, you're pushing him back, you're keeping him off of you. Novak is still better than everybody.
Right.
So it's not like.
So that's why I'm saying he might have had a one-off, and this might have just been a bad day.
I don't think it was a bad day. I think it was just an accumulation of that much tennis and that much pressure and that much on your legs in that short amount of time. Father Time has a bit to do with that on the recovery tip. Either way it goes, in my book, he's still the greatest tennis player of all time, and Danny Medvedev said the same afterwards. I just think it's super interesting that the crowd was finally with Novak because he was down, which is wild. It says so much about the psyche of the public.
Well, he earned that.
Yeah, because he beat up on the people that most people consider either Roger Federer or Nadal to be the greatest player of all time, and he beats up on them consistently. So it's wild.
He went deep.
Yeah, it was something I've been thinking about a lot. How the crowd was with him, and there was a point when he was sitting down on a changeover at the very end of the match, and I wish I had the visual. You could see it. He was just sitting there and he was smiling. He was looking around at everybody, and they were cheering for him and going
trying to take in the moment.
Yeah, like
because it's far and in between.
This is what it feels like when they root for you, huh?
Right.
It's crazy.
Which shows his will, because when everybody's rooting against you, a lot of times the most successful athletes depend on the crowd to give them that extra, that pick me up.
And it can go the other way. You can be a Derek Jeter type and have it, have it go the other way. Either way, tremendous tournament. And on the WTA side, you had the introduction of two new superstars. I mean, absolute superstars. Leylah Fernandez went out there and ran through Naomi Osaka and the rest of her side of the bracket like they were amateurs. I mean, she actually was employing the Novak.
And she was saying that she wasn't,
the first set, and then she would come back and dominate the next two.
No, I was just saying that both of these youngsters felt as if they should be there. It wasn't a thing where they, were just glad to be there.
And the Brit on the other side, Emma, did the same thing. She was ready. She was poised. She was a qualifier. She had to play 3 rounds before she even got to the tournament to start.
Right.
Which is wild. I'm really happy for that.
She had to pay on the side court.
Did. Small court free.
Right.
It's a free 99. You can play with anybody can come watch.
You can.
You literally can. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I felt like it was such an interesting representation with what's going on in the world now. There's so much change in the world from what we knew before to this new kind of unknown. And sport once again is representative of that, and we saw that with the U.S. Open. I just thought it was great to watch because you didn't know what was going to happen.
No, you really
looked like Zverev had worked for Novak, to be honest.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. I mean, he just gave it to him in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That was a 3-set, not
Yeah.
five. That was 3-set. That wasn't 5-set.
Yeah.
Really cool though. It was just. I wish I almost went, and then when the hurricane hit, I said, stay home. But it seems like I should have went because it was popping.
It went down.
Yeah, it went down out there.
I like the way they cleaned up the stadium after the flood.
Like nothing happened.
Right. It was beautiful too.
And now, we'd be remiss to not talk about it with tennis, to talk about Naomi Osaka. Leylah Fernandez, this new superstar, supernova, beat her in 3 sets, I do believe. Might have beat her in straight sets, to be honest. And Naomi's continued mental struggles presented themselves. And after the match, during the match, she was banging her racket. She was upset visibly. After the match, in the post game, in the press conference, she was crying, said she's taking some time away from tennis. She doesn't know if this is, how long it's going to be. But in all honesty, in watching it, I wouldn't be surprised if we never see Naomi Osaka on the tennis court ever again.
It's possible. She had a meltdown pretty much on the court, and no one reprimanded her. She got to go on with the tantrum pretty much for a long time as far as tennis. You know what I'm saying? When she was,
I don't know what you're saying.
When she was banging her racket, knocking the ball up in the stands and all that kind of stuff. And usually they don't accept that kind of behavior.
Well, usually you just get a warning. Same thing Novak just did. Mm-hmm. Novak got a warning, and then and then if it continues, then that's when they can take a point away, and then if that continues, then they suspend you. Either way it goes, obviously she's the biggest star in women's tennis, and I'm sure the powers that be of the WTA couldn't be happier about what transpired at the U.S. Open for them to have 2 new superstars,
right?
Because of Osaka's recent struggles. Now, the thing about it to me is that clearly she's having a mental problem.
Right.
She's not faking this. This is a real thing. It's such a delicate line because mental pressure is a part of being an athlete.
Right.
Mental pressure is a part of being an athlete if you play rec league on Sundays,
now,
let alone if you are a superstar athlete.
Right. Now, do you think she was forced to play tennis in some kind of capacity? Do you think that it's her first love?
I think she loved tennis. I don't think she loves the business of tennis.
Right.
I think that if you just
they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think if you just meet her at the courts, she gonna bust you up.
Yeah, she'll give you some smoke.
She'll give all the smoke. But I think that the process of her becoming her version of superstardom that happened was a skyrocket.
Right.
She was
a meteor.
Just forget about it. And she beats her idol. They had that whole debacle at the U.S. Open, which seems like it set up this entire setup.
She said that's when it started.
Yeah. And the idea, once again, of the crowd booing her. Yes. She beat her idol. The crowd booed her. And she never seemed like she got over it. Then when she started to lose, because she won back-to-back tournaments, and then when she started to lose, it became something that seemed foreign, or there was a lot of pressure for her to perform. She didn't like the way that the when the interviews were, and blah, 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 blah. And they have no way there's no rules to control them to make them do anything when the Forbes article comes out that you were the highest paid athlete in the world that year. What are you going to do? You're going to fine her? You're going to fine her $100,000?
Means nothing.
Fine her. What does she care? And now, she's saw her out at the Met Gala last night.
That's what I was thinking. She's at the Met Gala, and that's where you're going to get criticized maybe more than any place. More so than when you're on the court. Now, what's the difference?
Right, but that's the thing. This is the issue with mental health. It's not linear. Mm-hmm. It's all over the place. And it depends on what your strengths and weaknesses are and your triggers are. It seems as though, whether it's the her advertising and so on and so forth, that doesn't seem to bother. It seems like it's about actual on-court tennis.
The press, and everybody pressing her.
Yes, and because you notice, even last year at the U.S. Open, she actually did the thing. I do believe she won last year's U.S. Open, and she won it wearing Black Lives Matter's masks.
Right.
She wore the Breonna Taylor mask. She wore an Ahmaud Arbery mask. She wore I think a Say Her Name mask. Like she wore the George Floyd mask.
Right.
She brought awareness. She was doing the work as far as a cultural leader. And I don't, I just pray for her for the best, but it's a tough situation. You can see that,
I wonder what kind of, has she been diagnosed with anything besides just saying she has a mental illness?
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? And it's her, that's her private option.
Right.
But I wish her the best, but honest to God, I wouldn't be surprised if we never see her on the tennis court again. She has
really-
enough money. She
Uh-huh.
has. She doesn't seem like she's interested in the fame, which
Well,
she
if
has.
it's not gonna do
her
anything-
fame isn't going to go anywhere, anyways.
Right, but if it's not going to do anything for it, there's no need for her to play, especially if your heart's not in it.
If it's going to bring you down,
yes.
that's the thing.
Yeah, and
It's at the point where since the French Open, clearly it's been bringing her down.
Right.
You know,
And she's going to have to find a new passion.
that's it.
you know?
Because eventually, just like how it is with anything, you have the hurt people situation.
Right.
So it's a tough spot. But tennis is looking up. That was a really reinvigorating kind of tournament. I was happy about that. But what was not reinvigorating, what was heartbreaking, was what happened this past weekend in boxing. Man, oh man, oh man.
What happened? I didn't hear anything.
Well, you must have been living under a rock. And do you smell what the rock is cooking, brother? Yeah, so
Yeah, he's cooking sweet dill.
Evander Holyfield filled in.
Was that really a fill-in?
He filled in for Oscar De La Hoya, which after watching Victor Belfort fight, actually could have been a good fight against Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya would have beat him up because he's Oscar De La Hoya, but it would have been a better fight because you can see Belfort went out there to fight. That was not exhibition style.
Right.
He went out there to
Well, and I think that the difference was when he fought against Evander Holyfield and he stepped in there with him, he just imposed his will as the younger man. So he's just saying that I'm going to push.
There was pressure. There was
I'm
bullying
going
and
to
pressure.
push him and put pressure on him
But
because he's old.
We have a special guest who wants to speak about that as well. But let's talk about what happened in that fight before there. I don't buy any of these fights. I most certainly wasn't going to buy the fight when they announced that Donald Trump was involved at all.
Right.
But Tito Ortiz got knocked out.
I'm Stone Cold.
I mean,
we give him the Stone Cold commercial.
He's still
Listen here, this
asleep.
is Stone Cold and Tito Ortiz.
is over here asleep. And I mean, what we're going to tap into with our special guest is to speak about this senior citizen boxing circuit with the celebrity boxing. Everybody thought it was cute. I never thought it was cute. I never thought it was a good
No.
idea. Never thought it was. And let's see what we have to say with our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the O-ZONE, and since we're on the reboot relaunch, we had to bring him back. He's talking strong out there. He's making moves in Santa Monica. Olympic medalist Tony Jeffries. How are you, man?
Boys, I'm great, and it's great to see you, and it's great to be back on the show.
You look
Yeah,
good.
You look great, man.
Yeah, man. You look tan.
Wow.
What are you doing out there?
I found a place with great lighting to make my eyes. So, yeah, can you?
It's working out. Now, Tony, we want to jump right into it because I love what you've been putting up on your social media handles because it echoes exactly how we feel. We went down to Hollywood, Florida a while back, a couple of years ago, just before COVID, and sat for the afternoon with Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield. We had a great conversation with the two of them. But it was very clear that they had been through wars and their bodies and their minds were in situations where the damage was clear to a certain degree, right? To then see Evander step in against Belfort in this, especially to stand in for Oscar De La Hoya, who, by the way, did look good in his training, and Oscar being under 50, I actually didn't feel bad about Oscar fighting. But that's neither here nor there for this part right now. What we saw when Evander Holyfield jumped in the ring was the equivalent of elder abuse. This was this was so terrible, and I wanted you to get on visually and say what you said about him being old as your pops.
Yeah, he is. He's older than me, Dad. And, for him to fight is terrible. For him to come in at short notice
Is
and
even
fight,
worse.
I mean, it's even worse. And we seen in the training videos before that.
He looked terrible.
Terrible. And just from the training videos there, he shouldn't have been allowed to fight. But not only that, is he got sanctioned to have this professional contest. What sort of medicals to do? Because all you've got to do, and I love Evander Holyfield.
Love.
Yes.
We're right there
Yes.
with you. Love, one of the greatest guys, one of the greatest to ever lace up the gloves, ever.
I agree. All you've got to do is have a 2-minute conversation with him, and
Thank you.
you'll know
Thank
he
you.
should not be fighting. He
Exactly.
shouldn't be fighting.
Exactly.
So let me tell you this. When I moved to America in 2011, I joined a training camp with Tommy Brooks. Tommy Brooks was the same trainer as Evander Holyfield.
Okay.
I was in camps with Evander, like side by side. There's footage of me training with him on YouTube.
I know where
I
you're
was in
going with this.
Two 8-week training camps, total of 16 weeks, where we were talking like this. We were side by side. We were training on the heavy bags in the ring, shadowboxing together. We went for meals with my wife and other friends. I got pretty close to him. Then I flew to England. I fought, and he fought in America. Then about 6 months later, I was doing some work for the BBC for the London 2012 Olympics. 6 months later, and then when I got down to do the interview, they said, "Oh, Evander Holyfield's joining." I went, "Oh, nice! I've not seen Evander for a while." And he come down and went, "Hey, Evander, how's it going?" He went, "Hey, nice to meet you." I'm like, "It's me, it's Tony."
He did the same thing. He did the same thing to
Wow.
Terry. That's why I said I know where you're going. With this.
Because this was in less than a week. We sat there and had a long, extensive conversation
Hours.
with him.
We sat down there in the gym.
Yeah. We saw him the following week, and he did not even recognize my face, my name, or anything. And it's just crazy to see them take him and put him in a ring with a young man and just let them have at it. You know,
Right.
I don't understand the sanctioning bodies or anything like that. What do you have to go through to actually pass the test to be able to get into the ring?
Yeah, that's what I mean. What have they went through? I'm sure. Again, with no disrespect, it's hard to talk like this without trying to disrespect Evander.
Right, 100%.
But I'm not like. Surely he wouldn't have passed the brain scan. If he's passed the brain scan to do this fight, brain scans are a waste of fucking time.
Yeah,
They really are.
Yes.
Right. And now with brain injuries, it can take up to 10 years for the effects of being punched in the brain for that to kick in. So, you know, he's just been hit as a 58-year-old man in the head, and he said he didn't get hurt. He got hurt. You know, them effects is going to take even longer. It's just basically it's really bad for the sport of boxing.
And then what's worse beyond that is then he's talking about how he wants a rematch so he can really show Belfort what time it is.
Yeah, I know.
But okay, this is where I'm going with this. Oh, hold on. Let me throw this out there because I want you to expound. I want to get your take on this. I think we talked about it when you were with us last. All of this is that we're seeing the reason these guys are in the ring, the reason that Tito Ortiz is still in the ring. I get the feeling Anderson Silva just actually likes to fight, and he actually looks good, and he looks spry. He didn't take punishment like these other guys, you know. But the reason that these guys are doing this is for the guacamole. They need the money.
Yes.
And the problem is, unlike every other international sport, there is no union for combat sports. So you have guys who make this money, big money. I mean, Evander Holyfield has made hundreds of millions of dollars over the years fighting.
But just like we're saying, he's continually gotten punched in his head. He wasn't a financier off the top.
He's an athlete off the top. That's not usually
getting hit in his head, and now you're telling him to manage hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not possible.
While I'm sure somebody was stealing some of it.
Right.
And then now you find yourself in the spot. I can't now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know that I saw that show with Evander Holyfield and Alex Rodriguez, where Alex Rodriguez is telling him how to get his finances together, whatever that is, yada 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 yada. What's so tough about combat sports when your money gets funny and your change gets strange is that you have no means of making money again after that. There's no residuals. You don't get residuals for every time that we pull up the fight on YouTube.
It's not an intellectual property thing.
It's not an IP.
Yeah.
You don't get to go back and fight again, which is now what they're doing.
Right.
So that somebody's going to pay you $10 million again, so you get that chunk of money again to reestablish yourself. And there's no pension, so it's not like you have a cushion to lay on. What do you think? What do you think about the situation, Tony?
Yeah, it's so bad, and as well, like you're thinking, like you mentioned, you're getting all this money, but as well, you're getting punched in the head. So I had 106 fights in my career, and I understand that I've got dumber from having these fights.
Right.
You know, the damage has obviously done something in my brain. So I mean, I'm good at managing money, and I'm a good businessman. But most of these fighters are not. So you're getting this money, you're uneducated on what to do with it, but as well, you're getting, let's say the word dumber, I don't like that word, but we are. And now what? And, you know, now he's had that fight and he's going to be worse off than he was. And I was telling my friend, I know I don't know, but I really think that he's going to wake up the next day and it's going to take him a couple of minutes to realize, like, oh, last night I had a fight. Oh, and this happened.
Right.
His brain's not wired and he's just going with the flow. I think anyone who's made money from this, other than his opponent, should be ashamed of themselves. The people who sanctioned it, the promoters, he's
I agree.
Training, I don't know who they are. Who's his training team? Who's his boxing trainer?
Who told him that it's okay to go do this? And I'm going to tell you something else. I don't know if anybody made money out of it except for Donald Trump, because they had to pay for the Staples Center, and the Staples Center then in turn the California State Boxing Commission, Athletic Commission wouldn't sanction the fight.
Right.
So then that's money that's gone. You have Oscar De La Hoya, who I think you could argue is a much bigger draw than either Belfort or Evander Holyfield,
Right.
Especially in Los Angeles. Oscar De La Hoya in Los Angeles, like, you almost have to be here or from here to understand the magnitude of having anybody that's got their statue out in front of the Staples Center can sell tickets. I can tell you that much. So then on top of that, you had nothing but empty seats at the actual event, from what I understand. I didn't pay to watch it.
No.
I watched the 80 seconds on YouTube afterwards.
Right.
I don't know how much longer Triller goes with this. And then they finally announced the Teofimo Lopez Cambosis fight is going to happen.
Right.
It's going to happen on a Monday.
Wow. I
What?
don't know where they're getting the money from. And I don't know if you never watched the fight. I did watch the fight, and I watched the interview after, where another thing, the production of Triller is terrible.
Brutal.
After the fight, there was a guy in the ring, and it got announced that they brought a guy from Triller over who was like, yeah, we're going to give Jake Paul 25 million to fight Belfort. And Belfort was there. And then some other drunker guy got the mic and went, we give him 30 million. We give him 30 million to fight. So now they're trying to get Jake Paul to fight Belfort. And I think what's happened is, because Jake Paul's left, Triller's not getting the numbers.
Of course. He
Right.
was their cash cow. And that's why Showtime jumped in on it. And that's also why Showtime then in turn made sure that he got the victory against Tyron Woodley on the cards, so that they could protect this cash cow for however long this experiment is going to last. But yeah, I don't think Triller has a draw at this point like that.
But it damages boxing overall because it's making a farce. It's making it a joke. You know, boxing is trying to make it into a joke.
Not even trying. It's there.
Yeah, because if you're talking about matching up Jake Paul with anybody, with me, you know what I'm saying? They're bringing him in just to...
Come on, Jake. We got him.
I was just playing. I was just playing. It was Omar. I was mean if he came in against Omar, because
he is a heavyweight.
Yeah. But it's just not right, because it takes how these guys train, how serious all of you guys are about the sport of boxing, and makes it into a joke. Because he's been fighting old guys, basketball players, but he's never really fought a boxer
who will make him pay.
Yes.
Yeah. So with this, I don't mind Jake Paul coming in and fighting.
Me neither. Me neither, by the way. I did want to put that out there. Anybody that's willing to step in the ring, that's on them. I'm just looking for fair fights.
Yeah, but they're acting like this is an actual professional boxing
I understand.
match.
But him, for someone to fight Tyron Woodley, I know he's older now, 39 or whatever he is, on his third professional boxing fight, that's some going. Now, let me tell you who I fought on my third professional boxing fight. I fought a guy from Germany who'd had 16 fights and won 3. I was Olympic bronze medalist. And I had 16 fights and won 3. I punched him in the arm and he fell over. That's how terribly it was. and now Jake Paul's fighting Tyron Woodley.
Tony, you're buying into smoke and mirrors. We got to disagree on this. We're gonna have to agree to disagree. I think we got static on our connection. Tony, we can't hear you because what you're buying into the. I don't mind Jake Paul fighting either, but the only thing that I'm ever looking for is equality.
Yes.
Tyron Woodley fights as a welterweight, bro. Jake Paul's
and
walking
he's an
around
MMA fighter, right?
He's MMA. He's not a boxer, and he's walking around at 185. So let's not act like.
But this is the problem.
Let's not act like he's fighting Tony Bellew or like he's fighting somebody that actually is his weight class that is a boxer. Let's just keep, this is part of the smoke and mirrors that the industry is putting out.
But Tyron Woodley would have stopped the guy I fought, and I was light heavyweight. So, and if you just look at all professional boxers, right? Look at all the professional boxers. Look at their first 10 fights. Look at their records. They fought journeyman,
Yes,
right.
And the only difference is if with Jake Paul's career right now, if you want to call it a career, which I'm sure you boys don't want to call it.
No, it's a career. It's a career. He's doing it.
The only difference is he's televised in front of millions of people, and he's getting
big money.
Dollars,
yeah.
Right. Which I'm all for, because he's getting eyes. He's bringing eyes to the sport. I own a gym in Los Angeles now, a boxing gym, and I've never had as many new people come to a gym and mention, "Oh, I've been inspired by the YouTuber boxing, by Jake Paul, by Logan."
Yep.
People's coming, so it's doing good for boxing. It really is.
But see, now this is where I disagree, because you can't have this a la carte. Because then you get the Holyfields in there and all the older guys,
it's all connected.
And it's all connected. It's not that I can just separate this and just say, okay, we're gonna let Jake Paul do his thing and have an exhibition fight, and then let's throw the real deal in there, or Tito Ortiz or whatever. Let's watch all these old guys get beat up. These are equivalent to bump fights that they used to have on YouTube all the time.
No, I get it, but the thing is with the Holyfields, and that's like Jake's healthy, Tyron's healthy, the fit.
Oh yeah, of course. We're not. I think both of you guys are bringing some valid points. The only thing that you're doing, Tony, is that you're making an exception based on the fact of selecting the good of the argument.
Right.
And there is some good of the argument, because there are people that are inspired and will be more fit and more healthy and so on and so forth. My thing, as far as the effect on the sport is, and this is a free market that we're talking about, so nobody's stopping anybody else from doing this. The issue is that for the casual fan, and this is the problem I have with your stance that you're taking, it's being promoted like it's a fair fight.
Right.
And it is not, because any boxer that fights any MMA guy is always in a boxing match at the advantage. I don't care what you try to say.
Well, Tony, got to go.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. If we've got in a boxer, I'm going to use me as an example, an Olympic medalist, European champion, fighting a guy from Germany who is absolutely garbage, but as well, my promoter's telling people this guy said that he's going to beat Tony. It's selling. It's the same thing, but it's on my fight was on TV. It was on a lower level. This guy never stood a chance, and I had 10 pro fights. These guys never stood a chance with me, but we had to sell it as if they did. And it happens in boxing all the time.
It happens in boxing on the prize level.
Yes.
But
not at this level.
Whether or not you feel as though that guy didn't have a chance, that guy did have a puncher's chance, because that guy, whether he was a club fighter, whether he got paid to take a dive, or even if he was just a bum, he had that chance. And I'm not saying that Tyron Woodley didn't either. What I'm saying is, whoever, the German cat is that you beat up was actually in your weight class. The German cat that you beat up.
The thing is, he's in my weight class because he's overweight.
No. I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
But we're talking about the welterweight fighting a heavyweight, and then we're talking about an MMA fighter fighting a boxer in a boxing format.
What was the weight difference between Woodley and Jake Paul?
I wouldn't know, because I don't buy those. I think
it was like 30 or 40 pounds or something.
But I know that the last time that Tyron Woodley fought, he fought at 147 in MMA. And
now let me. I want to ask you another question. Now, do you think that everybody thinks that this is more tragic because we're watching one of our legends and heroes get beat up, or is it because of him just being an old guy getting beat up?
I think it's because everyone. Well, just about all our boxing fans love Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder that we've all got this emotional
connection.
One way or the other, compared to just an old guy getting beat up. But as well, if it was just an old guy getting beat up, it would be. And that's what he looked like. He looked like just an old guy getting beat up.
That's exactly what he looked like.
Yes.
And that's
exactly what he looked like.
That was the problem. And I think, though, if you want to take a positive spin on it, I don't think this will ever be allowed to happen again.
I think
Hopefully not.
This is where things went bad. I think this is where the celebrity boxing and the so on and so forth. I think, but I have no doubt that Triller's too deep, in to pull out now. I think that they're going to have to continue forward with this approach. And
this is
they've
their
lost,
model.
This is their model. They've lost Mike Tyson because Mike said he didn't get paid. Mike looked like he could actually
Mix it up.
Mike. You weren't ever concerned with Mike's health, and that's against another all-time great with Roy Jones.
Yeah.
Neither of them were you really concerned with. Man, this is Mike. Somebody Mike.
And it was an exhibition.
Mike wasn't trying to knock him out. If Roy wasn't trying to knock him out. I think part of what hurt everybody's feelings with this is that Belfort went in there hunting heads. He went in there to punish Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
And he did.
And he did. And he achieved his goal. And I think that's part of what.
And his motivation was to fight Jake Paul.
Exactly.
Yeah, to get the 25 million or whatever.
Wherever they're going to get that from.
And this is all the capitalism at its finest because
we all. And it's worst.
We're watching. It's the car accident. You're sitting in traffic now. If you're in traffic or whatnot, and you see the accident, how many people are going to actually pull over to help the person instead of just sitting there and gawking? Most of the time, everybody just wants to see it. Traffic stops because I want to see, who got hurt? As if,
hey, man, I just seen somebody on the freeway.
Exactly.
I think they got killed.
Right. Instead of actually getting out
insane.
and being the difference. You know what I'm saying?
And there's a bloodlust in society at large right now. This is the problem that I have. Because you have real fights, if you will, every single weekend.
Right.
There's guys who've dedicated their lives to the sport every weekend.
But we want to see the horse and pony.
Evenly matched up. But as a society, we would rather see the smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
For whatever reason. I personally think there's a flaw in society, and there's this bloodlust that we're looking at, the violence and the anxiety in society, and the whole thing with COVID having everybody locked in. I think I think that all of that plays into it. But
yeah, well, it comes down to you can have the most talented fighter in the world, like Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux.
Yeah, Rigondeaux. Yeah,
unbelievable fighter, but he cannot sell tickets. He cannot promote a fight.
Right.
So no one will really watch him unless you're a really boxing purist.
Yep.
But then you've got someone, which I agree with, like about the quality of opposition for like someone like Jake Paul, who can sell tickets. He's
a showman. He understands spectacle.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, boxing is a sport, but it's also entertainment.
Yes.
You sound like this is what our last host said. This is what our last guest said as well. And one thing that's interesting about that to me, I would like to get your take on. So Oscar Valdez popped dirty with this fentanyl and then ended up getting no consequence. He got a warning. The fight went forward. A lot of people in the boxing world, including myself, felt like the fight should not have gone forward and there should have been some sort of a consequence. It erupted into a whole thing. Devin Haney called all of Eddie Reynoso's fighters in his camp all dirty. And a lot of them have tested dirty, so he's not really making that drastic of a statement. It's just he's saying it out loud. So the fight takes place. Canciao actually gave Valdez way more than anybody thought he would. I don't know if you saw that fight this weekend.
I didn't.
Canciao found him early a lot. Like he comfortably won the first half of the fight, and then he got caught a couple times, and he got off course. It wasn't a robbery. I could have seen a draw. I could have maybe seen it go Canciao's way. I could have seen it go Oscar Valdez's way. But of course, the cards were over the top for Valdez because he was fighting at home. Classic boxing, and this is where boxing cannibalizes itself. But point being, I wanted to get your take. What is your take on the PEDs? Because that's what we were talking about with our guest last week, and he felt like it's all entertainment. Let them all juice. Let them all do it.
Nah, it needs to be fair.
Yes.
If you get caught with PEDs, you should be done for life. I really believe that. And it's not like football or well, I guess football's a rough sport as well, but not like tennis or
baseball
cycling,
or something,
physical,
cycling. Yeah. Where you have the chance to kill someone else.
Yes.
Actually kill someone in the ring. And then, so what my thing is, so you get tested for steroids, which is illegal. You get in the ring and you fight someone and you kill someone. Is that manslaughter? Or is it like what is that murder because you've cheated? You've armed yourself with a tool,
a weapon. Yes.
Help you damage someone. So it should be an instant ban, you know. And I know Canelo, for me, one of the greatest of all time. I think he's unbelievable. He tested for steroids as well, but he said it was that meat. So I guess it's a tricky one as well for the people who were testing for the drug committee. Like
To me, it's not tricky.
No,
If
not
you
for the tester.
If you
It's
test
the
positive,
testee.
you're making an exception because you love Canelo, and this is the issue
Exactly.
about
A la carte.
fandom and a la carte,
No.
and also
I'm not. I'm saying I don't know what the investigation's like. I don't know, like, it wasn't legit because, I mean, some like nasal sprays, for example. I think Billy Joe Saunders had a nasal spray, and that had something inside that what got him banned.
and you know what happened though? After the investigation, they said, "Oh, it was a nasal spray."
Right.
Right, yeah.
So they cleared that up. Just like how they did, I think it was DeLeon White that ended up with the same kind of thing. They did an investigation, and afterwards they cleared it up and they cleared his name. Now, obviously, if you didn't follow it, you wouldn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But
I
these
think
samples
that's
that
what
they have for these guys that we're speaking
these
of.
samples that we have for these guys that we're speaking of are dirty A samples, dirty B samples, and
And especially at the elite level, at the elite level, you have to know what's going on in your body when somebody's paying you
Yes.
that much money.
which is a trip because when we talked to Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe a couple of years ago, that's what both of them talked about. Both of them were like, I'm somebody who knew exactly what was going into my body at all times when I was fighting at the highest level.
When I was fighting, I knew every single thing, and I checked every single thing that went into my mouth. You know, everything, and that's what the fighters should do. If you're taking a medication, the first thing you think of, has this got something in that I shouldn't be having, even if it's a headache pill.
Yeah.
You know?
And they have a list and you have a rep you can call,
Well,
correct?
and what I really like that people don't call out enough was what Tyson Fury did, and it's at his presser after he fought.
Oh, yeah, I agree. After he fought Wilder, after he knocked Wilder out. this
Somebody
last
just
fight.
randomly handed him a bottle of water. He said no.
Nope. He said, nope,
no.
not from
He
you.
said, where did it come from? No.
He said, no,
Nope,
not you, not from you.
Uh-uh.
And he just continued his press conference.
And
Yeah, it's perfect, and that's what all fighters should be thinking of.
right. So
All
there.
the time.
So then there could be no excuse.
There's really no excuse. There really is no excuse. I mean, if Canelo's sitting at fucking street meat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, come on, man.
What
Come on,
are you
man.
doing, mate? You're a multi-gazillionaire. Why are you
Right off the corner. Right. And then said, I don't know what I was eating. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, mate.
Come on.
Yeah.
And you look,
should be
and you're the only person that's ever looked better versus Gennady Golovkin after fighting Gennady Golovkin.
Right.
The only person.
Let me ask you this. Crawford and Porter just got announced. Who do you have?
You know, I think that's a great.
I think it's a great fight too.
I do too.
I think Crawford's gonna be under more pressure than he's ever been under at 47.
I got Porter.
Yeah, you are.
Uh-huh.
Crawford, like it's so hard to beat Crawford, but it's a 50-50 fight, and these are the sort of fights that's good for boxing.
These are the fights
Very
that are
much
good for
so.
boxing.
Very much
Because
so.
you know both guys are coming to play.
Now, let me ask you this. Why do you think it's 50-50? Because Crawford really hasn't fought anybody at that level of
At
Porter.
47.
47. It's just that his talent and his ability, but yeah, I know it's going to be a hard one for him. But you know, he's just demolished everyone he's fought at his weight category. So, you know, I think it's going to be very interesting.
It is gonna be interesting because honestly, Crawford likes to start slow. You can't start slow against
No.
Sean Porter. He's pressure from the word go.
Yes.
My only issue is Sean has been doing a lot of commentating, and Sean seems like he's moving towards getting out of boxing.
Right.
And as
You
long
have to see where his heart is.
I have to see if his heart is still showing up as Sean Porter, the savage.
But I don't think his father would let him go out there.
I don't think so either. I think if it doesn't look right, his father won't let him go out
pull
there
the plug
and do
on
that.
it.
As his trainer.
Yeah, but there's so like with him now, with him being more in the public eye, doing the commentary. There's so many distractions, and what you said is like,
Right.
is he getting pulled away? Like, you know, when you're in a training camp and someone says, "Oh, I'm going to give you 5-10 grand to come and open up my new shop,
Right.
store," you know, is he going to? Oh yeah, it's only a couple of hours, but that couple of hours you should be resting, and it makes the difference. You know,
Makes
so
a difference.
where
Man,
you
it
should
makes
be
a
resting
difference.
And take. So yeah, I mean, with this fight, if there's a fight that can get him up for it, it's got to be this fight, right?
I
Right.
agree. I
Right.
agree. Now, same
Yeah.
question. Fury Usyk coming up very quickly.
No.
AJ
AJ Usyk.
AJ Usyk, sorry. AJ
Yeah,
Usyk.
you know, that's
Sorry,
a
so Fury.
really, really good fight. I know Usyk's moving up, moved up a weight, and he's really smart for the weight. But his skill level is out of this world.
His skill level's out of this world. Low key, he should have been pound for pound for a long time. He was the only
About 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, he was the only the undisputed champion in any weight class for a good probably like 2 or 3 years. And he's another guy who doesn't sell tickets, so people don't really know about him.
Right.
Problem I got with him is when he did move up, he fought a journeyman. I didn't like how he wore
fought
the
a
big
couple of
man.
journeymen.
Yeah, and I didn't like how he wore the big fella's punishment.
Yeah.
Punches.
Yeah.
I think it was it Chisora that he fought?
I don't think it was it Chisora?
Yeah, he fought Chisora that
Yeah,
just most
Chisora, yeah,
recently,
he fought
and he beat him up.
Yeah,
but
but Chisora gave him smoke early.
And then the journeyman, the guy shaped
Yes.
like me, hit him hard and
And it looked like he was devastated.
and he that was his first fight, that thing out of Chicago.
Yeah. No, he's a very talented fighter. I don't know if you know,
And
but
AJ looks lean.
He does.
he beat John Joe Joyce in the amateurs.
Yes.
Joyce
Uh-huh.
is like a big guy.
Yes.
Super talented, super strong guy, but he's not at the level of AJ. You've really got to pick AJ for this fight.
You have to pick AJ
Yeah.
for the fight.
You've got
It would be an upset if AJ loses. I
Right.
would say that.
I think AJ's gonna
Yeah.
stop him.
I agree. You think he's going to stop him?
Usyk has he's another guy who likes to get started slow.
Yeah, and he gets hit too much by the big guys, by the
He could do
journeymen that we
that
saw.
at cruiser.
Yes, and I don't think that he'll be able to take that big hit from AJ.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I don't know if he's going to get stopped because he does get hit, but he's hard to get hit clean. He's always moving when the punches are landing, which makes it harder
To sit down on it.
knock him out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but it is a really good fight, and I think other than Fury and Wilder, it's the best fight for AJ in that division right now.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it is. And then we've got Fury and Wilder coming up. I'd like to know who you've got for that.
I got Fury.
I got Fury.
It's hard to bet against them, but the other thing is like what we just mentioned there about the discipline. Is he as disciplined this
This
time?
is the question.
Right. And
This
we
is
don't
the
know
question.
what's going on
We don't
behind
know
the
what's
curtain.
going on.
But
Yeah.
if he's disciplined, if he's been living a disciplined life, his skill set would he would beat Wilder because Wilder is a puncher and he's a boxer, and it's very, very hard for a puncher just to go in there and he took his right away, and he sort of took his heart away when he took his right away.
He sure did. And in what they fight 19 rounds. They
Something
fought
like that.
12 rounds the first one and 7. It went 7 the second one. In 19 rounds, I've seen Deontay win 2 rounds, and maybe even
Right.
1, because when he knocked him down in the 12th round of the first fight, Fury got up and busted his ass. It might have even evened up the round.
Right.
I mean, he beat him up bad after he got knocked down.
Yeah, I've seen footage of Wilder, and he looks the best I've ever seen him.
He looks better.
On the mitts and on the bags, it's obviously different to in the ring.
Right.
But I've actually done a session. I've held the mitts for Wilder before, and I've trained him before. But I've seen footage of him hitting the mitts before, and from then to now, he looks like a different fighter.
Wilder came on the pod. He came on the O-ZONE, and he told us that he fights up and down to his opponents. He's very clear about that. Now, one thing that I will, a guy with that kind of pop always has a chance to
Yes.
win. There's no doubt about it. But the best thing that happened for him is this COVID delay.
Right.
Because he was talking about jumping right back in
less than 6 months.
after that last fight, and I would have given him a 1% chance of winning that fight.
Right.
Because every excuse in the book, my legs were gone. The
suit was too heavy.
Was too heavy.
Somebody put something in my water.
Fury's glove wasn't on.
Mark Breedling did this to me.
Come on, man.
I'm like, man, who else?
He was the
I got
second
him.
gunman on the gassy knoll. There was always something, and that kind of stuff doesn't look good. That's not a good look to say where your mind is about it. I'm very interested to see what happens this go around. I'm still interested in the fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was more domination from Fury. But a guy like Wilder, you get that whopper, man, he can get you out of there at any point.
I think his career is finished if he doesn't beat him this time.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have the big fights anymore, but he's still going to be a draw because
he knocks people out.
Get knocked out.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So it depends if he really wants to continue and not be at the top. You know, there's definitely big fights from there, and the heavyweights get paid so much as well. So he could
just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
All of these guys are having the kind of money now where one fight puts you in a position where you can ride off into the sunset.
Right.
Yeah.
Tony Jeffries, we see you sweating in the car. Your tan is beautiful. We appreciate you. That's some good glands. You got that good. That's a sign of your fitness. Tell the people, man, where can the people find you? You have your gym, Box and Burn in the house, correct?
Yeah. Mate, my blew up on YouTube My YouTube channel's blew up, giving boxing education now. So you can find me on YouTube. If anyone wants to learn how to punch hard or fast, you can find me on YouTube.
All right, there it is. Man, thank you so much for coming back on. Whenever you
Good
want
seeing
to,
you, man.
come down to the stadium.
Yeah, I'll come down next time, and after one of these big fights, and we'll get it.
We'll break it down.
Yeah, we'll break
there
it
it is.
down.
Yeah, I think one of the next biggest fight in boxing is going to be the next Jake Paul fight. So we'll come off that.
I hear he got his eyes on some guy named Jeffries.
All right, boys.
All right, Tony, later.
Late.
That's great. All right, so moving on. It's getting hot in Major League Baseball. Last night, the Giants punched their ticket. They're the first ones in.
Hot stove.
It is the hot
The
stove.
thing about it is that everybody keeps thinking that the Giants are going to fade. This is almost 160-something games into it.
140 games in.
They're not fading.
They're not fading, but they're also, and they reloaded. I mean, getting Chris Bryant was a fantastic
Right.
pickup.
I mean, and the pitching just won't stop.
I think that the Dodgers are going to beat the Giants. I don't think anybody. I actually think the Giants would fare better in a wild card one game than the Dodgers would. It kind of that one game wild card would happen at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
So the Dodgers are tough at home, but nobody really wants to get in that position.
Right.
Even though you can get in that position,
You can get in that position.
and get hot.
Right.
And you win that game and you roll right into more games. But last night, the greatest pitcher of the generation came back and he looked great. The Diamondbacks are not a great team, but still Clayton Kershaw looked great.
He's a giant killer, too.
He is a giant killer. He's going
Yes.
to build up his arm strength and he's going to be ready for the playoff run.
Now, I want to know.
and the Dodgers
I'm
are
really
swinging it.
Yeah, but I want to know if they would go with him to start it off, Walker Buehler or Max Scherzer.
I think they're going to
in a series against the Giants.
I think it's going to depend just on how the thing shakes out. And in real life, you got four guys, all four that need the baseball. I would imagine Kershaw's actually at the backside of that because of an arm strength situation. But Urias might be better than all of them.
Yeah, but about the time that they get to the playoffs, and if they have to go head to head with the Giants,
Kershaw will be fine because that'll be deep
fine.
that'll be like
And
mid-October.
for me, I know that he's the older, the senior citizen of the.
Yeah, the team, the veteran of the
But-
staff.
I would go with him because he actually has their number.
He has always had their number.
Yes.
And that doesn't matter whether they're playing up there in San Francisco or they play at Dodger Stadium.
Right. Now,
and he gets knocks.
Yes. And now Bueller got gutted last time against him.
Well, he got good against the Giants.
Yes.
But I thought you meant against his last outing. Yeah,
against
it's
the
the only
Giants.
time he's gotten gutted all season.
That's this is not the right
I mean,
time to get gutted.
The guy might be the Cy Young. You got to throw him. But
Yeah.
either way it goes, nobody's throwing better than Max Scherzer right now.
Right.
Max Scherzer went out there and almost threw a perfect game
Yes.
against the Padres.
Sounds
and he
about
has
right.
been lights out since he got to the Dodgers.
I want to see how
And Mookie Betts is back, and Mookie
Yes.
Betts looks like Mookie Betts.
But what about Cody Bellinger?
Who cares?
Wow, you don't even care?
Cody Bellinger's giving you great defense in center field, I have to
He
say
is.
now.
He is
He's-
giving you great.
He's really worked on his game. He's giving you great defense in center field. You need to get something out of him offensively,
They moved him to the bottom of the lineup, though.
which is a smart move.
Yeah.
Because with Mookie back and with Trey Turner there now,
Uh-huh.
Max Muncy's consistent, Justin Turner's consistent,
Uh-huh.
and Corey Seager is still low-key one of the most clutch players in baseball.
Right.
You got plenty of offense if the squad is together, and they got plenty of speed, and Bellinger adds to that speed. He can't steal first, but hopefully, something he won't get up into any clutch situation.
That bullpen is suspect.
The Dodgers bullpen has the lowest ERA in baseball, I do believe. So you keep saying they're suspect, but the numbers don't say that.
Yeah.
You're going on the eye test, and I understand what you're saying.
Right. The bullpen
'cause I've
is
seen it,
suspect.
but most of the time, the Dodgers starters get you at least 6. And 7, 8, 9 lately has been going the right way. Between Joe Kelly, he's actually throwing he's committed to his pitches. Knable's solid. And Ken Lee's been shutting the door. To be honest, we'll see what happens on paternity leave. Congrats to Ken Lee for picking up a new baby. Good for him.
Where'd you get it from? He picked it up.
Well, I'm going to have a conversation with you about the birds and the bees, son. May help you understand why you have so many children.
Where did I pick him up at?
Usually at school. So I think the Dodgers are in good shape. It's coming down to it. And how about the epic collapse of the Yankees, though?
They went through their little run where they knocked off a string of wins, and it's catching up to them. It's as if in a basketball game where you're down by 20 and you have to push so hard in the second
come back.
to come back, and then you just run out of gas in the end.
Yeah.
And their pitching is just suspect. I mean, their pitching is
They didn't get it
suspect.
together.
No, the bullpen has been suspect. The
Everything's been suspect.
Yeah, everything is
Even the
suspect.
offense at
Yes,
times.
Yes. So, and Toronto's coming on strong right now. Tampa Bay is always a problem.
Tampa Bay, I didn't know this, but I do believe Tampa Bay has the highest per run average in baseball. They actually, Nelly Cruz went over there and they start putting up runs.
Right. And you just need that solid piece sometimes just to get it rolling.
Yeah, because they got pitching.
Uh-huh.
Oof, it's going down. And I hate to say it, but the Astros just keep on winning.
I told you.
The Astros just keep on winning.
No trash can
I
banging
think
and none of that kind of
I
stuff.
think
They
that
just
the
win.
Astros are going to be in trouble in the playoffs because I don't think their pitching is really that impressive. I don't trust Zach Greinke.
Wrong.
I don't. You trust Zach Greinke?
No, I don't trust. What is he behind me? Does he have something on me?
I don't trust Zach Greinke. I don't trust Jake Odorizzi.
We don't have to worry about him now. He has a sore foot.
Exactly. I don't. And we're gonna see what we get from Framber Valdez, who is a good pitcher. There's no doubt about that.
You have Valdez, you have McCullers, and you have what's the kid, Luis Garcia.
And that's it. We're gonna see what happens when the lights come on.
Yep. Well,
But
right,
I mean, the lineup. Forget about it.
and they've just
Kyle
plugged
Tucker's got to be the most improved player in baseball.
Right, but they just plug and play. Kyle Tucker was his second year.
Yeah, and he has developed his game.
Yeah.
He does it all.
And they needed something to fill the hole of Springer.
Yes. And that's a testament to their scouting squad because they really felt confident enough to let George Springer go to get Kyle Tucker. And George Springer's been having a year on and off of the IL, which hasn't helped anybody.
What is the other kid over there that they brought up? Jack Myers?
Jack Myers, dude. Jackknife. Yeah, they have don't forget Yordan Alvarez.
Yes.
They got Big Daddy over there putting the ball out the stadium.
Crushing it.
And they get clutch hits.
Yes.
Man, they get clutch
knocks.
They do. And I'm not crazy for their bullpen, to be honest.
But it gets the job done. They put up so many.
Gets the job done in this terrible division they have.
But there's so many runs. But they beat everybody out of the division. They're dominant. And we can say the same thing about the Dodgers because in their division they there's only one other competitive team. That's why the AL East is so tough because you got that.
But this year they have 3 out of the 5 teams are tough in the National League West. The National League West is the toughest division in baseball.
Who's tough? You have the
Giants are the best team in baseball.
Yeah, but you have the
Giants are the best team in
Giants
baseball.
and Dodgers.
And the Padres.
The Padres are like 15 games out, dude.
Yeah, that's because they got beat into submission. But it's not like they're not a good team.
They're not good. Your record shows that you're not good. If you're 15 games out, you're not good.
Not if you're chasing.
And I love the Padres.
If you're chasing the 2 best teams.
I should have worn my Padre hat today. No, but it doesn't matter. But the Padres aren't good.
Okay, but I don't.
They're stinking the joint. Blake Snell finally got his act together now because the pressure's off.
Which is unfortunate, but I can't front on that.
But they're not good. So there's 2 good teams in that division, just like the Astros have 2 good teams.
Roll with that.
The Yankees have Tampa Bay themselves,
Boston and
Toronto.
All 5 of them are solid.
Yeah. Baltimore stinks to join up. But what can you do?
Baltimore stinks to join up, but they're young. They're young. But
young in the
nobody's
game.
offense is like the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays offense, you will want no problems with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, but the Blue Jays can be beaten into submission if they have George Springer gets hurt and they are a completely different team.
I don't believe that anymore. But I say
he just came back, and that's the reason why they're swinging the stick. This is the reason why.
Springer doesn't have anything to do with Teoscar Hernandez going completely berserk.
He does.
He does.
Yes, he does. Just like with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Because when George Springer was not in that lineup, that team struggled. The 2 weeks that he was out of that lineup, they struggled. The 2 months, the month and a half, they just tread water. But when he's in that lineup, then they turn into a whole different animal.
To me, that's not what the Blue Jays' issue is. The Blue Jays can't close out games. They have a strong staff now, but they can't close the games. Steven Matz looks like Steven Matz from when he was with the Mets, the original, when he first came up. Barrios is pitching a lot better than he was with Minnesota because now he gets crazy run support, but it's not even just a run support. His approach is better. He doesn't walk as many guys. Robbie Ray is in contention for the Cy Young.
Right.
You got the kid Manoah that's out there that shows improves. They got a lot of youth. They got a youth movement that's going down. But the problem is the backside of the bullpen can't ever hold it. I mean, and they blow it late. They might blow it in the 8th or the 9th.
Blowing chunks.
It's all bad. But they can't get it done. And that's what's, suspect. I don't know. I don't know about that American League East. It seems like it's all Tampa, and it's going to be all Tampa. I'd actually be surprised if anybody gets anywhere near them Even though I love the Blue Jays. I want the Blue Jays to come out the East.
I would too. But the thing of it is that everybody loves the long ball, but what it really comes down to is pitching and defense.
And that's what Tampa has.
And that's what Tampa has. And they
honestly,
keep running it out there, and everybody, it's not glamorous.
Yeah.
And, it's not the pace of the game that everybody likes, but it's actually what wins baseball games.
That's what wins.
Yes.
That's what wins. And I don't know, the Chicago White Sox seem like they're a bipolar team.
They're pretenders.
Yeah. They're not, they some days you watch them and they're super real. Other days you watch guys stay terrible at bats. When they play tough teams, usually they don't show up.
Right. They fold.
They beat who they're supposed to beat.
Yes.
They beat Minnesota. They beat Cleveland.
And sometimes they don't even beat them.
Sometimes they don't even beat them because you got guys like Dylan Cease who are up and down and up and down and up and down.
And he's got talent, but this is what his second or third year.
Dallas Keuchel seems like he should be on the verge of retirement.
Right.
Speaking of retiring, one of your favorite players has just announced his retirement.
Who is that?
Mr. Ryan Braun, the 2011 MVP over Matt Kemp.
I used to love Bronny.
I know, and it's a good job, Bronny, on getting yours and getting out. He kept it low. It's unfortunate that Braun's career will always be linked with the juice and the whole debacle of what happened after that.
Yeah, with that tainted meat.
Yeah, and accusing a guy of anti-Semitism and the whole. I mean,
he went far.
He went. he almost went as far as A-Rod, almost, but not
really close.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you try to ruin somebody that's doing their job, a normal person that.
But this is once again, we go back to a societal problem because it's about accountability and responsibility.
And nobody wants
to take it. I mean, you had to eventually take your lumps because you literally got boxed in.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
But that's the only reason. Instead of saying, you know what, you got me. I messed up. What? You threw somebody else under the bus that didn't deserve it. The doctor's like, man, I just took
right.
But it's unfortunate because he was a good ball player. The juice made him great, and I think that if you looked at his body at work, you could say, you know what, this dude is a good.
He was going to be in the major leagues regardless.
He might not have made it to the Hall, but he was an above average ball player.
He was above average ball player, but the stuff that he did on the juice was really high level.
Right, and speaking of juicers. Do you think that some of them are going to make it into the Hall? Because a couple of them are up next year, right? And I think it's their last time on the ballot. I think Barry Bonds' last time on the ballot.
Well, and they have this thing now where you have the special...
What, juice booth or something?
No, you have the special writers academy or panel that can... Or the players panel or whatever who can then get you in. Kind of like how Larry Walker got in this year. And Larry Walker, it was great to see Larry Walker in there.
Larry Walker deserved it.
Oh, no question. Derek Jeter, forget about it.
Yeah.
What a great speech. What a great situation.
Yes. Wow. Shout out to Dave Winfield.
Shout out to Winfield and just, so many ways he played the game the right way.
Right.
And you can't front on that. And I thought it was very notable that I didn't see Alex Rodriguez. Of all the guys that he played with.
He was over there stinging the joint up over at ESPN.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness.
I just watched him make a call.
He makes a terrible call. I know exactly what you're talking about. You didn't say it.
Right?
All right, so we should be looking at a fastball.
Right. I was like, are you
slider, low and in. And this is why you were a bum, regardless of what the numbers say.
Are you kidding me? And he does it all the time.
It's every week.
If you're a ball player and you know the game, and this guy is predicting a pitch, the numbers that he put up to coincide with what he's saying
only amplify how important the juice was to his success.
Yes.
Because he's never right.
Wow.
His insight
you calling for some cheese and a slide that comes? And you're hitting 45, 50 bombs a year?
55. Whatever. I think he's
batting 330 and all that kind of crazy stuff? Come on, man.
Yuck. I don't even want to spend any time on that.
Where would you like to spend your time?
If I had my choice, the South of France is nice this time of year.
South of France right now, huh?
But yeah, so we got Major League Baseball. I really think the Brewers are the sleeper cell.
They can hurt you bad.
Why did you take Corbin Burns out and not let him get his no hitter?
Oh, dude, he threw 100 pitches, man. Come on, everybody knows that.
No way, dude.
You can't.
Some raw cane super juice in my life. By the way, this is
you're a juicer, man. You're a juicer. You're not gonna make it to the Hall, dude. I won't vote for you in the Podcast Hall of Fame.
Uh-oh, we got somebody in. Our special guest, the gang's all here on the O-ZONE, folks. Trucker Dave back in the house. How you doing?
Oh, I'm still breathing, fellas. What's going on?
Man,
football season.
That's a big deal nowadays.
Yeah,
Praise God for it.
Yes.
And we are live at SoFi Stadium, which was the scene of a mauling by the Rams over these Bears. And wow, let's talk about week one. I want to say something. I drove into the stadium today to record the pod, And I had an anxious feeling. And I was saying to myself, wow.
Thought you were going to suit up?
Is the darkness of society that's been going on finally getting me down? And I had to dig deep and figure out what was going on. And I was able to pinpoint the source of my darkness is Aaron Rodgers. I'm mad at Aaron Rodgers because he cost me my fantasy game. And I couldn't wait to come in and speak about how nonchalant and uninspired. I mean, literally, I lost my game by 20 points because Aaron Rodgers didn't put up nothing.
How many points did he put up fantasy-wise?
I play in the Yahoo League. He gave me 9 points.
Oh.
He was scheduled to give you 43. He gave you 9 points.
I was saying that he's like 4 tugs waiting to happen. Usually he's just 4 off the top.
I consulted you. I consulted Trucker David. Yeah. I mean, there's no way you could know. Who could know that he was going to do that?
Wow, he stunk the joint
We
up.
were surprised about the surfer. Yeah, the surfer hairstyle.
He looks like a hippie out there.
Yeah.
He looks like he looks like he just got off of the beach in Malibu with his wife, and he decided, oh shoot, I got a game to. Hey babe, you got my bag? And he went down, flew down to Jacksonville, threw a couple interceptions, didn't care.
Stood on the sideline, kicked back, talked to the fellas.
Talked to Devontae, see how his things are going.
Mailed it in
Completely.
Yep, mailed it.
Do you expect the same thing next week?
Intersection.
The whole game was terrible. You think he's going to play like that next week?
No, they're playing Detroit next week, so I'm pretty sure he'll have a bounce back game. I'm surprised at this week because he's such a stat guy to me that he just seemed like he wasn't there. Physically, it just seemed like he never checked in.
He never checked in, and I think the only thing that can change that is that
money?
feeling of him sitting. No. Honestly, I think he's got plenty of money. I think even with the new extension, no extension, whatever. I think the only thing that will turn around the beat for the Packers and Rodgers is if that feeling of him sitting on the sideline and getting bullied for a guy whose winning percentage all time, he's got to be one of the all-time winningest quarterbacks that's ever picked up the football.
Oh, he is,
I mean, he's like they go 12-4 every year,
right?
So
yeah.
When you go from success to that, I have a hard time believing that he's just going to take that on the chin.
I don't think that he cares. Right. I really don't. The way his demeanor on Sunday,
I mean, he looks so carefree.
I don't know if you can change that in a week, because the only way that he's going to change that is if people actually ride him, to make him.
There was no effort. That was the part that had to be crazy. I was looking at Devontae Adams sitting next to him. Like, you can only imagine what all of the guys on the team are thinking.
Because that hurts their numbers.
That hurts their numbers, and they aren't super fabulous wealthy. They need their deal.
Right.
And you don't get paid in football without the numbers.
No. But this year they do have the extra game, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back. But you know what? I think GMs are going to be on notice because if he's coming to your team, say a team like Denver or else he may want to go, you're going to think twice, like, okay, this dude's aging. Do I really want to deal with that?
Yeah, how about just retiring?
Just retire. You know how many guys literally their entire lives have been dedicated to getting to the NFL?
Right.
Give somebody a chance. It's just so selfish to me. I just cannot believe it. I can never understand. I can never believe it how selfish all of these guys are. If you have enough, and if you have enough resources and you have had enough success, why in the world won't you just see it from the perspective of anybody else? It's so ego-driven. Yeah. It's unbelievable to me.
It would have to be because you just said that it's not about the money. I think it's about the money. Because
I don't think
if it's not,
Aaron Rodgers got to have 150 liquid at the house.
I mean, wow, he got it at the house.
He got it at the house. What's his address?
Hey, but it's some truth to what T is saying, though, because if that wasn't the case, then it would have been more easier for him to walk away.
Right. I mean, especially when you're talking about a stat-driven person, right?
He's a stat-driven person.
Right.
And then he didn't put up any numbers.
Right.
So this has to be about the money. He's trying to show you and put you in a situation where he's saying, see, I can do it or I cannot.
So maybe this week I should start him so he could come out and show them, hey, guys, watch these 7 tugs.
Yeah, I can put up these numbers or not.
I know where to put the ball.
Yeah, I know where to
we all know that he knows where to put the ball.
Has one of the best arms in football history.
Yep. With strength and accuracy.
Jordan Love should be ready. Jordan Love should be. He was nice in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he should be ready this time next year. He should be ready to take over the helm. You know, you got drafted where you got drafted. You have, they're throwing rookies in the fire right now. Look at Mac Jones. Look at, all the other.
Look at Jalen Hurts.
All the other young quarterbacks. Yeah.
Or Justin Fields. Was it that? Who was
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Guys
Trevor
got
Lawrence,
Burrows.
They just throw him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They give them the franchise pretty much. It's up to you. They're giving you the rope.
Young guys are getting a chance now.
Yeah. So
Because you could be a Mahomes,
Right.
or you could be, a bust.
Yes.
But
Right.
how about
But,
this Raider game last night? The Raiders actually showed up. They tried to blow the game every way they could. They did everything they could. The Raiders tried
Raiders.
to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and the Ravens wouldn't let them.
No, man, that was incredible. Football's looking pretty promising this year. I mean,
It
early.
does.
I mean, you start with that Buccaneer-Dallas game that came all the way down to the wire
Right.
on Thursday night.
Let's go back.
Then you got,
let's stay there. Let's stay
viewership
there.
should be up.
Let's stay there because we know how much you love Tom Brady. I felt like maybe the best thing I've ever heard Chris Collinsworth say on a broadcast, he said this past Thursday during the game. And the question he posed was really real. And he said, is 25-year-old Tom Brady better than the guy that I'm seeing right now?
He's not.
He's not.
No.
This Tom Brady,
not.
I cannot. It's over for me, guys. I have to say it. I'm sorry. I've been a Joe Montana guy my whole life as the greatest quarterback ever. I cannot front on Tom Brady at all. I never fronted on Tom Brady.
No.
But what Tom Brady can do, you never have to worry about Tom Brady giving you to Aaron Rodgers, what Aaron Rodgers just gave you.
No.
Never.
He'll walk away from the game.
Never.
He would
Yeah.
walk away from the game.
He'll crawl away from the game before he lets that happen.
Even if you say Joe Montana was better, but you have to give it to Tom Brady because of longevity.
Right.
Because of
Right. And a lot of it has to do with the league
longevity.
changes.
Even if you even though they changed some rules for him, whatever, but he's still going. And he might be better now because of his maturation and his understanding of the game. He can slow it down. I listened to him
He
on the
slows the
Jim
game
Gray show,
down.
and he was just saying yesterday, he was just like, yeah, I'm just so comfortable when I'm in that position. Now
Yeah.
I know exactly where I'm going with the ball.
You
You
see
put
it.
somebody like Gronk out there,
And
and they're on the same sheet. So
I mean, huge catch by Gronk at the end of regulation on that final drive.
yeah, but the thing of it is that everybody knew that if he got the ball back, that game was over.
This is what makes him. This is
that
what
game
makes him
was
the
over.
best.
You
This
have
is
to
what
give
makes
him
the
the
best.
game back,
Same thing.
the ball with 2 seconds, and then you still question it.
And I'm going to tell you what else makes him the best. He marches down the field. What they have, 87 seconds or something like that. He marches down the field. Which, by the way, when you watch all the rest of the quarterbacks in the league and they get the ball with a minute and a half left or two and a half minutes left, you see how impressive it is that he can march down the field in a minute like nothing.
Right.
Because nobody else can seem to figure that out ever. But the thing that I loved was they get into field goal range. Tom Brady does the exact opposite of what the Cowboys did.
Right.
Because he's not a stat whore, Tom Brady said, I'm throwing 2 balls away because I need to run down the
I
clock.
think
He threw 3 away.
He said, I'm throwing 3 balls out.
He just threw them out.
Yeah, here go. Run the out route.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. That one slipped out. Miss. Oh, throw that one out. And next thing you know, Dak gets the ball with no time left. I forget about it. What a victory. I'm blown away.
Dak played a great game, too.
Like what
Dak
you
played
said
a great
is true,
game.
because
Amari Cooper played a
those
great
3
game.
passes dropped his passer rating down.
And none of it matters to him. And that is so
Because
awesome.
he got to throw up the dub.
Because he's throwing up the dub right now.
Yeah.
And this is
Yep.
why he's
Don't
ring.
quit
This
it.
is why he's the Lord of the Rings. Frodo. This is him. He's out there because this dude knows that winning is superior to everything else in sports.
Yes.
It is.
And that's
It
why he
is.
keeps clocking dollars.
You know what?
And they will always pay you. That's why he took less money and whatever. He's like, I ain't worried about that money. That money
Right.
gonna come back when I get this ring,
Yeah.
or the next ring,
Yep.
or the next ring, or the next ring.
I think the only thing that's going to stop him
But-
is injury. It's the only thing.
Injury and a bad matchup. Like Sean Payton gave him trouble.
Right.
Yeah. And
But,
and that's few and far
you know,
between.
I think that in a situation like this, you need a guy like a Buddy Ryan. When Buddy Ryan played against Joe Montana, where he came up with a specific type of defense, designed a specific type of defense to beat him, and that's what like the 46. But other than that, no, it doesn't seem like it's a defensive coordinator out there to come up with a special design to try to slow him down. Everybody goes into the same thing, and he's used to everything.
Yeah, you've seen too much now.
Yeah.
It's too long. And you got to come up with something innovative, and you have to have speed.
Yes.
You have to have speed. The one weakness that I would say Tom Brady has, and honest to God, it didn't look like he had it on Thursday.
He
aired it out. He had a hose. He looked like young Tom Brady.
Yeah.
His arm looked great.
Yeah.
But he can loft the ball.
Yeah.
And if you have this crazy speed that the new age athletes have, the Darryl Green type speed, so on and so forth, that this is what I've noticed that can give him some problems. Besides what we all know that gives every quarterback problems,
Hit him.
which is getting him off the spot and hitting him.
Hit him early.
Yeah. But the
Well, what
Arians,
it is
he
that
understands
you
getting rid of
have
the
to
ball.
have a good front four without blitzing.
That's
what
is
it
the
is.
key.
And that's what the Giants did twice.
Yep.
You have to have that, like what Chandler Jones did on Sunday, 5 coming off that corner with 5 sacks.
Come on, man.
Man, he clowned Ryan Tannehill, man.
Yeah.
He
dominated
did.
the game.
He sunned it.
That was shame on Vrabel, though. That was a bad game plan because they
And
didn't
he
even-
said so.
It was.
Vrabel said so after the game.
Uh-huh.
He said kudos. He said kudos to all those players and those coaches over there. They kicked our butts. They outplayed us and they outcoached us. And that's my fault.
Yeah.
I have to appreciate that.
Yes. He took responsibility. He was accountable
Yeah.
because you can't have a running back like that and not stuff the ball down everybody's throat every single game. I mean, there's nothing that you can do. That's like having Shaquille O'Neal in the middle of the
And not
paint
giving him the
and
ball.
not giving him the ball. He's going to open up everything.
I know, man.
Everything. Even
Especially now you got Julio Jones over
Right.
there. You got Braun out there. It's not like they don't have
No,
pieces.
man.
just bad
Yeah,
coaching.
they got the pieces.
But week one,
I mean,
it'll be
everybody's got
interesting.
a bad matchup, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends
Well,
on what the matchup is.
and honestly, it seems like Kyler Murray is the bad matchup for everybody.
Right.
He is. He is.
He's
I
a-
would take him right now over Russell Wilson.
I would not.
Just because
would
of
be.
You're out of your mind.
Because
You must be road drunk.
You know
Are you
why?
crazy?
you know why? It's because he hasn't taken all of those hits,
Yeah.
and he's the future.
I agree with that.
I'm looking at the future.
I agree with that. But if
know,
we're
I'm
talking
not
about,
talking about
I'm talking about
the
one
skill set.
game. Well, okay, I thought that's what you were talking about. I'm talking about if I gotta go with one game right now, I'm actually taking Russell Wilson over Tom Brady. Russell Wilson is what this guy does,
Russell Wilson actually has beaten Tom Brady in big games.
and should have beat him in the Super Bowl, low
right,
key.
and Pete Carroll hurt him.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah, but you know
Yeah.
what the word on the curb is he had something to do with that as well.
Yeah, he took blame for that, but
Yeah.
I don't really think
I
that-
mean,
that's the coach.
The pill.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you got to override the call or whatever.
Yeah, that's
I'm
not
telling
right.
you, I was sitting there. Everybody,
That's not rocket science.
Everybody in the stadium knew that Beast Mode was about to run that in.
Yeah.
Everybody, literally, it was just like,
Oh,
oh,
I
he
know.
almost got in the play before, and it was just like,
did.
oh, well, here it is, here it comes, and they got too smart for their own good.
Yeah.
There was no stopping Marshawn
Yep.
Lynch that day, none. But
That year.
that year. But either way it goes,
It's-
back to what we're talking about. I'm so impressed with Russell, man. No matter how little or how much he
yeah,
has,
I am
he's
too.
so consistent.
I know, but one of the problems that I always see is that he's going to start fading, which is very unfortunate to see because for the past 2 years, the second half of the season, you just see him just start to fade. And just like he was talking in the offseason, he probably won't be there next year because he can't keep taking punishment like
Yeah.
that.
If he had the
Yeah.
ability to actually use his playmaking when it's necessary,
Right.
and it not to be necessary 3 out of the 4 downs, who knows what he could actually, how many chips he could actually win.
Right.
Because he's as
that's true,
smart
because
of a
if you look
playmaker
at-
as anybody.
Yeah, if you look at what Patrick Mahomes had to do in one game in the Super Bowl, that's what Russell Wilson has been doing, and that's why I lean towards
Murray.
Kyler Murray. What is he? 20? Is he 25 yet?
Yeah, he's a kid.
So the
Yeah.
future is bright in Arizona, man.
It is.
This guy can scramble. He can move. He can make good decisions.
Baseball
He's a
player.
pocket passer. He can get outside the pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what happens, the biggest problem in football is like people will give up on the young athletes, like the Lamar Jackson and all of that. Oh, you see, he's still running it. Let him develop. You know, give him some more time. I mean, these guys aren't even 25 years old, most of them.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah, but my problem with Lamar Jackson more so than anything is that he's not developing into any kind of pocket passer. Now, this year we can give him a little grace because they have no running game.
And he was still putting balls on the money.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't, when he
Yeah.
throws the ball, he's got a hose and the ball's on the
Yeah,
money.
but the
His problem is protecting the ball.
Yeah, well, it's not even his fault though because if you have,
If
If
you
you
have
have
to Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah, and if you have to have the ball 90% of the time,
It's all
running
you.
back and
It's
quarterback.
like a
it's all
video
you.
game.
But I'm telling you that what's short-lived is him running the ball all the time because
He
taking
got
those
stuck last night.
Yeah, but taking the acclamation of all those hits eventually catches up with everybody. There's
Yeah.
not any person in the league that ever played. Michael Vick, who else? Randall Cunningham. We can just go down and name them. That's taking those hits, and pretty soon they're not in the league anymore. Or if they are in the league, they're just mediocre at best.
Man, yeah, it's rough
That's
stuff.
the truth.
Who else did you like? Who else did you like out there, Trucker Dave, in week 1? What were you impressed by?
I was impressed by the once in a generation player Patrick Mahomes made on that scramble play outside.
And then went back over the middle.
Yeah, and hit Tyreek Hill. I think only probably 4 or 5, less than 10 quarterbacks in NFL history can do that.
Right.
I mean, he's not going to have the rings that Tom Brady has.
Nobody
I
will.
think that loss will derail his career. But one thing, as far as Super Bowl rings, but one thing you have to look at with him is that he is a once-in-a-generation talent.
He sure is.
That guy,
And he cares.
they had,
sure
like,
does.
He cares.
They
I mean,
got
it's so
2
important
ends.
now.
coming off the corner on this dude, and he's still at the end of the big games that he's won, like Tom Brady, he's been behind.
Yeah.
And this dude, man, is a special talent. That play, I just can't believe that he could do that.
And
He got a hose.
John Elway,
he's got a hose.
Aaron Rodgers could do that, but I don't know. I don't know too many other people that I can think back in history that can do something like that.
Michael Vick. But literally,
I don't think Michael Vick.
Michael Vick could have done that.
No, Michael Vick can't do.
He could
have did that.
No, I don't think so.
He was going right.
Yeah, he was going
He
away
threw
from his
it
body,
all the
and
way
he was
back
going
left.
and fading away.
I
Yeah,
He
understand.
threw it over 50
I don't
yards.
think
He got a hose.
Like
Yeah.
it was nothing.
He's got a hose.
Did you see that play? You see when he in the off season where he threw the ball out of Arrowhead Stadium, from inside of the stadium?
That had to
should
be a
Google it.
photo.
Check it
That's
out.
that's a
You should
Photoshop.
Google that. But dude is talented, man. I was impressed with that. And football's here, man, and people are pumped up, man.
People are
Because
pumped.
people have
Stadiums
been,
are full.
pinned down in the house. So
Yep.
They love the game, man.
I'm going to tell you what.
Actually love the NFL.
and they have a good schedule this year, which is
They do.
even better.
Good matchups.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things that I was impressed by. I may have been most impressed by, other than Tom Brady and the Bucs winning that game. I was really impressed with Big Ben and that comeback.
Right.
Yeah.
The Bills didn't play up the. They didn't.
No,
play
they
up.
didn't. But they had the game under control.
Right.
Like I kept checking in on the game, and it was 13-0 at the half. I think something like that. There was nothing going on.
They got caught up in Pittsburgh's style of play. You got to get out of that mode, and
They
they
did.
need a running game. They still don't have a running
Yeah,
game.
they do, man. And fix your offensive line.
Yeah, right. I mean, because what you're doing is that you're shortening up Josh Allen's career.
They love that.
Yeah.
Everybody loves
Exactly.
that.
You want him to be the running back and the quarterback. No, dude. Let the running back be the running back and let the quarterback be the quarterback.
Now, before we let you go, what's both of you guys' take on Cam Newton's coming out with his side of the story?
I think that Cam Newton, to me, the declination of Cam Newton has been going on since he turned vegan. And then you talking. I want to know how many superstar athletes are vegan. You know what I'm saying? You can control your diet and everything else, but being totally vegan,
This dude.
playing in NFL, it seems like it's very, very, very. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, man. The dude needs to eat some
Well,
meat. And then you're talking about
because Ray Lewis didn't.
you don't believe the Ray Lewis.
was vegan.
I don't believe it.
You're like a freaking Trump supporter right now, dude. You're getting presented with evidence that you refuse to accept.
Evidence, because he said that Ray Lewis didn't do it. I didn't do the research.
Now you know how I feel. The machine. I told you. I had the evidence.
Well, when are you going to show it to us?
August 43rd. It's coming soon. Now see on mypillow.com. Anyways, what's your take on it, Trucker Dave? Since Maga over here doesn't believe. Since he fell apart, not when he was getting speared and punished. To me,
No, I agree. But the thing of it is,
so much of it happened with what you guys were just making the point of. They didn't give him the tools that he needed after the Super Bowl,
no, they did not.
and after that, from the Super Bowl, when he didn't win
Yeah,
the
they
Super
didn't.
Bowl, it's like they yanked the funding. Something happened, and they just decided they was cool on Cam. He can either do it all himself or he can get nothing done. And so
Well, you know what?
After that, he start taking that kind of punishment
Yeah,
that
but-
we're talking about with these young guys. But
Yeah.
let's let Trucker Dave give his take.
I wasn't finished with mine.
Oh, okay. Sorry, vegan.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
go ahead.
because
Go ahead.
then also we're talking about COVID now. I think that the team can't take a chance with a guy that, because the NFL has already let all the teams know that if you test dirty, not with PEDs, but with COVID or whatever,
Uh-huh.
that's going to be on your team. You're going to get a loss and nobody's getting paid. They can't take a chance on doing that because somebody doesn't want to get vaxxed or anything else, or not following protocol. They can't. That's my opinion.
Okay. Trucker
I
Dave.
just think with Cam Newton, if you look at his whole career, he's been erratic. He's never been like, he's never been like a high percentage completion guy. He's been dominant, in a few ways, but he's never been consistent as far as, being able to drop back and find the receiver, read the coverage and all of that. I mean, I don't know. I watched him, man, and I just don't think he has it anymore. And I think once you get old, I think you don't have to be ashamed of it, Evander Holyfield.
This is exactly what
Don't get
we're
back in
talking
the
about.
ring.
And this is what and I'm saying the same thing with Rodgers, to be honest.
Right.
Hey man,
I did say that.
this
Yeah,
is
you
a
don't
part
have to be
this is a part of getting older is your priorities change in life.
Right.
And if your priority is no longer
And Tom
slinging
Brady's
the
hasn't.
pill,
Yeah.
Tom Brady's has not changed. His priority is still being a superstar winner.
Getting rings.
That's my priority
Yes.
until I can't.
Look at what Shaq said about LeBron James and Steph Curry. I find it to be true. He said LeBron James and Steph Curry no longer have anything else to prove in their career.
I agree with that.
Completely
Yes.
agree.
And it's true.
Completely agree.
And that makes it less likely for them to be winners, in my opinion. That's what separates all-time superstars than stars of the era, is because there are guys who no longer have anything to prove, who just have to continue to prove to you that I'm better than you at this game.
Right.
And that's just a drive that they have.
Right.
And there's a handful of guys, we can name them in every sport. The handful of guys. And usually those guys hang on too long because they can't believe it when it's
Right.
not the case anymore. But you have a bunch of
Right. I
guys
think-
who've already, it's like when, I can't remember what that was where Carmelo Anthony was talking about. It might have been on LeBron's show, The Shop, when they were like talking about him losing or being a loser and this and the other. He was like, man, I already won when I was on stage with David Stern. I won when everybody in my family was no longer in poverty. He's like, I won when I got out of New York and now signed a $100 million deal. It's like, I won. Maybe I don't win a ring, or maybe I didn't win a ring, but I've won in life.
Wow.
So there's a different perspective,
Right. And it's relative,
Yeah.
I guess.
I got
It's all
Lala.
relative. He won. He won. Through reproduction. Yeah. Well, all right, Trucker Dave.
So that's what I would say. All right, fellas.
Glad to
You guys
hear
take
about
care.
you. We're gonna chop it up with you sooner than later and talk about next week's preview.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Be careful out there on them roads.
Peace.
All right, folks. Another spirited edition of the O-Zone. Thanks for joining us live here at SoFi Stadium. I'm your host, Omar Miller. I'm here with my brother Terry, the Icons. Gonna leave you with a quote from Mother Teresa, and that quote is, "Spread love everywhere you go,
Love.
because love is love."
O-ZONE.
I'm just living the dream.